Little dots.
Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth episode of the Stay Strong Men podcast. I'll be hosting today's episode alongside Jevon, and we're joined today by our guests Danny and Kaylin, who will be introducing themselves in a bit. If you watched our previous episodes, you noticed that we had themes that we discussed. We're going to keep doing that, but one idea that we want to try is to bring ordinary people onto the podcast, get them to talk a little bit about their life story, talk about the struggles that they've overcome and how they overcame those struggles. And this is the first episode of that little series that we're going to start doing. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Shall I go?
Yeah. I'm Kaylin. I'm from West London. I'm 25. My parents are from Ghana and Togo. Work as a dispute handler, and I also do some forex trading on the side as well. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I'm Danny. I'm 25 as well. West London. We all went to the same school. How long have we known each other for now?
Like 15
years.
It's actually 15 years.
It's actually 15 years. Like,
Crazy.
Yeah,
hella time, bro.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So we've grown up together. I work in finance now.
Finance boy.
Finance. Not banking.
Big boy, Danny.
No banking.
Do you mind your returns and that, you know?
Tax
Yeah.
evasion and that.
Nah. It's all legal.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I'm in London, man. Surviving.
Alright, so let's get straight into it. So this episode is going to be a little bit personal. That's the whole point of this series. But the first question to start off is, when was the first time you guys have really struggled with your mental health? Like, what happened specifically?
Do you know what? Probably like GCSEs, you know?
Swear?
Yeah.
That early?
Yeah. Around
What
that time.
happened?
Do you know what? Because when, me personally, as soon as not GCSEs, I'll say A-levels.
Okay.
As soon as I turn, 16, you can start working, right? When you're 16.
Yeah, when you're 16, yeah.
So I
Jumping
got a
payroll.
job straight away.
Oh yeah, you were working at Amcrobb and Fitch or something.
Nah, the American Eagle in Westwood.
Oh, American
I was
Eagle, that
doing
was
shifts
it,
in Westwood, yeah. But I had to balance that with school and just, trying to grind and make money and like not doing the best at school as well, and just combining them two at that early age is like, it's a lot, man, for like a 16, 17-year-old. It's like, you just like, now as I've grown up, I want my son to like not do that, just do his school education and sort of not stress about anything else and just focusing on that. But I didn't have that luxury in it. So
What kind of emotion do you think that you're feeling? I know it was a time ago, but
I think I was just
your
like,
stress.
I was just like, bro, I have to make sure what I do is right. Like I have to, if I fail in terms of like, if I don't work, I got no money. So I need to carry that on. Like I need to make sure I've got that pattern, the part-time job. And then school, I have to smash my A-levels. So it's like, you have to find that balance between making sure you're doing well in school, but also like you're still making money to live. So
what do you think there was any sort of? Oh, actually, let Kaylin answer as well. You
What,
answer.
me?
Yeah. Sorry.
Do you know what? Yeah, I wouldn't say that I've majorly struggled with my mental health up until the point where I went to uni, innit? Because everything was just smooth sailing. Went to uni now, but you know the ones you go to uni, like everything's just different. There's just been bare different people. Man was having like existential crisis and everything. I was thinking like, who am I? Like, what's going on? Like, I literally need to like learn who I am as a person, innit?
because all you lot lived out as well.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
was
But
one of the early ones in London.
I actually wanted that challenge of moving out of like and seeing if I can fend for myself as well. But when you go out to uni, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn about you like go towards people that are similar to you. It was just techie, like, yeah.
So I guess one of my questions is going to be like, Danny, in your instance, do you think there was any pressure put upon you to work your job at such a young age?
Yeah.
And like, same thing about you with Kaylin, like we'll talk about you in your instance, like, was there pressure to go to uni? Like, was uni something you wanted to do? Or do you think you were pressed?
Do you know what? Initially, uni wasn't actually something I wanted to do. All my siblings went to uni, but you actually know as well, I actually wanted to do music.
Yeah.
So I was actually thinking, let me do my music thing, innit? But when I was actually starting to think about what options I could have moving forward in life, I was like, let me actually go uni, get my degree. I can, if I want to do my music, I can still do it on the side. So yeah, I want to say there was a bit of pressure, but I actually ended up making that decision myself to just do it. Do you get it?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, with me, there was pressure. Like, if you're coming from a low income household, you have to get busy straight away. But I also wanted to work myself as well. Like, I didn't want to be one of those people that just get spoon fed like for the whole life. So I'm like, now looking back, I'm thankful I was working from a young age, because it just built up that maturity and just sort of taught you that life lessons from a young age. Like, there's people who, because they didn't go through that when they were growing up, their like social skills are behind now. Their people skills, people management, like it's just not there right now. But I feel like I'm at that place where I've built that because I was working from a young age. So it worked out in the end, I think.
Do you think, like, I'm gonna just talk about like culturally, like the expectations of, as you said, your sister. Like, well, I know you have a sister, but yeah,
Like the two sisters, no?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm
Exactly.
saying. Your family, like, they all went to uni, and similarly, Danny, you talk about low income household and like just like the culture, because I know you're Assyrian and so stuff like that, and Kaylin, obviously, you're like Ghanaian and Togo. So
Togolese, yeah.
So yeah, so I'm just trying to say, do you ever feel like the culture sometimes, or maybe your parents or like the environment that you're growing up affected the way that you perceived it? Because I'm thinking, if we're being real, not a lot of people were working proper hard at 16, like balancing their A levels and things. Like even myself, I had a little Wembley job, but I was only like once or twice a week. You know, I'm like trying to say, there was only like little shift like that.
Yeah.
But Danny was working like 3 times, 4 times a week.
Do you know what? Yeah, think about it. Yeah, I've always thought about this. Like, where our parents grew up is completely different to where we grew up. Like, think about, like, we're born in London and you literally have everything. Do you know what I mean? But where they're coming from, it's like they've had to build everything from us. Like, my mum came to England when she was like 14, went college, like was working 2 jobs, got married at 19, and then I'm like, we were in uni, like laughing and chilling and like. So the difference between what we've gone through, like, I don't know about you two both, but like what my parents gone through is like, it's literally night and day. So
what I'm trying to say is, do you feel like subconsciously that caused you to be so Justin? Do you think that was like pressure on you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think it's more societal pressure. I think like there was just like bare waves of people going uni, everyone going to uni and being like, like it's more for their experience, as opposed to some people going uni and doing like dance. Do you know what I'm saying? Like doing, like, no offense to people that do dance, obviously, do you understand? You want to dance, you understand? But now people are going uni. Now people are going uni and doing things like just for the sake of going to uni. But I think people just want to go for their experience as opposed to actually trying to use that degree to push them on in their career. I think for me, that's kind of the thing. Like, I didn't have to go uni. I done business management with entrepreneurship. But if you think about it, like, if you want to start a business or something, you don't need to go uni, innit?
Yeah. But your siblings went though as well. So like,
all my
siblings. You're
siblings.
Not the first one. There's no pressure on you.
That's the thing. But then there was also like, what, are you going to be the only sibling that didn't go uni? Like, my brother went not uni of Nottingham, good degree. My sister, Southampton. My older sister went to Bedford. So yeah, there was a bit of pressure, obviously. So it might be different for people that like they're the first person ever to go uni like in their family, but this depends, innit?
I know you said that you did like you wanted to do music. When you went uni, do you think your parents would have felt a way if you went and actually studied music? Like, I know you don't need to study music in uni, obviously, to do music, but I know that's an option that they like provide. So was that something across your mind? Like, why do you go into business management as opposed to just doing something music related?
So that's actually what my original plan was. So I think I applied to do music tech at uni, innit? But if I chose to do that, I think not even just my parents, everyone would be like, if they don't bust, then you're kind of, you know what I mean? You're in the wilderness a bit. Do you get it? So that's why in my head I was like, I'd rather just do business, pick the business thing, and then if I want to do the music, I can do it on the side. So yeah, I didn't want to limit my options basically. So yeah, there was a pressure. There was that pressure as well.
But do you not think as like, I guess our parents always want the best for us, but do you not think it's on us to make the decision for ourselves, especially when at such a young age? I guess reflecting back now, like, do you really think you made the decision? Like, because even my experience, I think I have quite relaxed parents. Like, not all people's parents are like mine in it. I wanted to study psychology, and before like all COVID and stuff like that, like psychology wasn't such a major thing in like present society. It wasn't something that people talked about. It was just more like business management, all them kind of things, economics, all that good jazz in it.
Yeah.
But I think my parents were always supporting of me. But do you think, I know obviously in certain different circumstances, parents are not as supportive. Do you feel like even in your instance, like Kaylin, do you feel like, as Mo said, maybe you wanted to pursue music and you would have went, but do you feel like your parents are like, oh, I don't want to, not disappoint my parents, but you know what I'm trying to say, like, not kind of make our parents feel like stuff like that. And Danny also, like, if you relate it back to your job, like, you say, talk about being a low income household, like, do you feel like if you weren't working from such a young age and grinding, would your parents have been like, rah, like, you know, when I was 17, I was working 2 jobs?
I'll just answer quickly, but personally, I feel like with my parents, like you said, like my parents are not that strict. I feel like my parents would have been happy with anything I decided to do. As long as I put my all into it, I think that they would have been happy with that. But
yeah, no, I agree as well. Like, I could have pretty much done anything and then they would have been fine with it. But I think with me, it was like, as long as you go to uni, then we don't, like, they just want that degree and that picture at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? So whether you do, like you said, music or sports or something, they don't care. But like, looking back, we're like, we're 25, 26 now. Yeah. Now, now I'm looking back when I was 18. I was like a baby. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Like 18, bro. But then back then we weren't thinking like that. But like now I'm looking back, I was like, how did I even know what I wanted to do? Like even now I'm still like working my way out through life. Like, but when you're 17, 18 and you're like, you got to make such big, like, think about it, if you make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
But that's why going to uni in general puts you kind of on a specific path. Will put you on the right path rather than like trying to do something else. Like uni's not a bad. It's not a bad option to say, look, I don't know what I want to do, but I want to go to uni.
Yeah.
You see, you can't. The only negative side to it is obviously like the 50 bags debt that a lot of man are
Coming out, I'm looking at
it. Like, the ones there. Yeah.
That's the only thing. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. But that's the scam in itself. But that's the only thing you could be like, I don't want to put myself in debt. So I mean, not just jumping for no reason, kind of.
I think you're 100% right. Like the intangibles you learn at uni are so key. But I also agree with Danny. Looking back on it, you're a child. Like even my little cousin is going uni now, and I'm thinking, crazy. And I'm thinking, like, does he actually know this is what, because he wants to do he wants to do editing and like film editing and stuff like that.
Swear down.
But I'm thinking to myself, like, that's such a hard like field to get into, and like to put yourself in that much debt, and like hypothetically it doesn't work out.
It's the exact same thing with the music technology thing.
Yeah.
Like if it doesn't work out, it's such a techie field. Like you need to master that. Yeah. You need to master your craft on this thing, and if you fall short of it, then you're just at step one, fam. So.
I know, and that's like, especially at such a young age, maybe that's like putting you back. Not necessarily putting you back, but pushing you back. Like, and to deal with all the other things of life as well. I think that, do
you know what? I think if you wanted to do that now, you've got way more like avenues to go through than back then. Because when was that? 2015, 2016?
Yeah.
I still don't think there was like a lot out. Like people didn't really know what to do out there. But now you've got DJs, like producers. You've got so many people just like doing their thing outside of uni, and I feel like it's so much more easier now. So it's like, it's just with the times, man.
I agree. True. Also, if you think about it, there's more opportunities, there's also more competition. Yeah, there would be. Yeah, there's going to be 1,001 more people like think, okay, cool, like I do editing on the side. I've got a little YouTube channel. It's got like 1K, 2K. Let me bust it and like try to do it full time as well, innit? And that can give us not to be pessimistic, but false sense of belief that we're going to make it. Like, you know, we always, like, on one hand, we always self-critique ourselves a lot because we always say that, you know, we could be doing better. But on the also one, the self-serving biasness where we're like, we're better than what we think we are. We think we're better at the job that we do. We think we're better than other people, when in reality, it's not like that, innit? So it's a tricky field, but go on, man.
The next question is, what are your coping mechanisms when you're going through difficult times? Like if you're in a situation which is quite stressful, what's your first response?
Shall I go?
Yeah, you go.
I fly. I'm out. I'm gone. Nah, but
that is catch flies, not feelings.
I'm out of London, bro. I'm on the beach, poolside. Nah, I'm joking, but like you lot know, like I love traveling, man. Like I'm like,
man's always abroad.
I see you abroad the other day.
Man's got a tan and everything.
He's in shorts and that.
It's raining outside as well. Nah, but I made sure this is to people as well, like who are going uni and like finishing uni. Think about it, you like when you're growing up and going to school and uni, you don't have time to travel or do anything, right? Like you just got school, part-time job, whatever. You ain't got money. As soon as I graduated, I was like, I'm going everywhere. Like I'm literally, anytime there's like a holiday proposal or, you know, I can go away for 2-3 days, I'm gone, man. And that just, like, I'm telling you, that just makes such a big difference to your mood and how you feel. Like for me, I got a target of about 3 holidays a year. One, like I tried to do 2 in the summer and then 1 like towards the end of the year. And I know it's not even just being abroad, but when you book something and you know you got something to look forward to, you're like,
a goal.
so even if your work is like stressful or something, and you're like, you know what, in 3 weeks, like I'm gonna be on the beach, hot weather, like it just gets you up in the morning. You know what I mean? It just, you get a little mental boost. So for me, traveling, holidays, and gym, man. Gym is like the other one. That, I don't know how people don't do it, to be fair. Like, even if you don't go every day, like even if you do 2-3 days a week, I'm telling you, the moment you leave the gym or when you're like during your session, it's like a weight off your shoulders. And like, and it's like, oh, like when you know that feeling when you just pump, you've just been pumping weights in that session, you come out and it's like, and it just feels like you're just free. All that stress is left. So
100%.
for me, it's them two, man.
Yeah, for me, bro, it's kind of hard for me to answer this question because when in times of stress, for me, I don't really cope very well. But you know, I just do like the casual things, like just listening to music. I like, if I'm like in a high stress situation, like proper, like it's crazy, I'll go for like maybe like just a nice drive. I find driving very therapeutic sometimes as well. Go for a nice drive, let the window down, let the wind blow up on my face. You know what I'm saying? Put the music on loud, like, do you know what I mean? Reminisce and that. And yeah, I used to go gym. Don't gym anymore, but I play football, so I'll play football. You know what I mean, try and keep fit. And yeah, I'll say those are my those are my main things.
If you don't mind, quickly, you said in high situations you don't really cope very well. Why do you think that it is? Is it because is it just too intense for you, or is it just you just don't want to think about it? It's rather like not run away from the problem, but kind of not think about the problem. Hope the problem just happened, like solves itself. Or
I think that's what it is. Like if I'm going through something very stressful, you probably won't know because I'm very like I keep things in it. So yeah, that's just why I'll say I don't cope well like, internally, but externally you'll think that everything's crisp.
Calm.
But yeah, but
do you think a lot of men are like you? Instance, like if you had to just think about.
I think a lot of men are like me, and I feel like a lot of men are like that. I feel like a lot of men have to be like that. Sorry, is what I meant to say.
That's interesting. Why do you think have to be like that?
Because I feel like men need to be strong. Like, you understand? We don't stay strong men. You understand? Men need to be strong. And there's a common conception that men need to be strong. Like, females are attracted to strong men. So if you're going through times where it's stressful and stuff like that, you need to be able to at least you know make it visible to people that you're coping with it well. And that's called stoicism. I don't know what that is, stoicism. So yeah, that's basically what it is. And I feel like it's been like that from the early ages when Fred Flintstone was out here going and, do you understand, hunting hard. No, seriously, when he was out here hunting hard, he couldn't be like, oh man, don't want to, do you know what I mean? Like it's stressful and stuff, but you got to contain your emotion and stuff like that. So I feel like, I'm not saying it's necessarily like a good thing, but I just feel like that's just the way it is.
Do you know what? When you said the female thing, that's a big thing.
It's so true.
I remember it was like probably a month ago. I think I was 2 weeks out of my surgery, so I was just down bad at home. Yeah. And I think I put something up on my story, like something emotional. Yeah. And the girl replied like laughing. I swear to God, she was like laughing, like, and I was like, oh. I was like, yeah, man, I'm down bad. And she was just like, she didn't realise that.
You being serious?
Yeah, I was being serious, yeah. And then from then I thought, I can't do that.
You can't do them things. You start displaying emotion, and the girl them like don't see that as weak. Yeah, they shouldn't. But that, in my opinion, that's just the way. I think it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's but seeing as that, man. So then from then I was like, sorry about that. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Nah, I hear it. So I think that's another good place to follow on. Sorry, Mo, if you had a question. But like, how do you feel like women perceive like our mental health? Do you think they're advocates for it, or like even just let's start. Sorry, I think about so many things at once. Let's talk about like your, like, if you don't mind, like your parents, your mum and stuff like that. Do you think your mum has always been, have you been able to talk to your mum about your serious issues, or is it more you talk to your dad or you talk to your brother, or maybe even an instance you talk to nobody? Like, yeah,
I keep it inside a lot, you know. Like I try to, I talk to my boys more than I'll talk to my parents. Okay. I have like 2 or 3 2-3 of my guys who I'll go to for anything, like for any advice.
Yeah.
And I'd rather go to them before my family.
So, when you were growing up, did your parents ever kind of, when they were going through stuff, did they ever express like their emotions openly in your house, or was it kind of kept in? Because that tends to be where that feeling comes from. Like if you see your parents going through something, but they keep it contained, then as a child, you're kind of taught like that's how you go through it.
Yeah.
Do you think it comes from seeing how your parents?
Yeah, because I think my
things?
dad's like that as well.
My dad is proper like that, but like everything he's gone through, like we've had mad family things go in my family, and then he just like doesn't display any emotions, nothing. Man's nothing at all. And I think that actually rubbed off on me. So I think that's a good point. But my parents like towards each other, don't display like mad love towards each other or anything like that. So that probably rubbed off on me in terms of like being able to express my emotions, just in general situations. Not majorly, but you know, when you just take some things here and there.
But then I'm gonna ask a question. But if you were to have a son, assuming that we all want children, would you not want your son to talk to you about his problems, or do you think he should talk to his boys the same way you do?
I would hope he's got boys that he can go to. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So ideally both, man. Like I would always want my son or daughter to like come to me with anything, but I would like to know there's people there for him who's not giving him bad advice as well. Like obviously if you're young, when we're young, we're just dumb. We're young and dumb. Like you can give someone stupid advice, get them in trouble. But the older you get, I feel like you should always have a circle of friends that you can just, you don't have to tell them the most serious stuff going on in life, but just get some advice, get some help, and as long as you got them there, you're good, man. So
back to the parent thing quickly. I do talk to my mum a lot about personal things, but it just depends on what it is. There's some things I'll say to my boys that are like personal, but there's something I'll say to my mum that are personal. I don't talk to my dad about personal things, but I think that's just because of just the way my dad has fathered me like over the years. Like he's not like, how can I explain it? I don't want to.
I'm the same, man. I'm the same.
Do you know what I mean? Like I'm just not as close with my dad, even though a lot of people are in one parent family, or the parents are split. My parents are together in the same house, but still, like we just the relationship is just like with my mum. We can have we can actually have like a friend relationship. With my dad, like you're my dad.
Yeah,
you're my dad. Like, and that's it. Like you're meant to be my father. My mum, she's my mum, and she's my friend as well at the same time.
Have you guys ever tried to have a conversation with your parents about that, or have you ever felt the need to? Because I was thinking, when I was going to uni the first time, like not the first time, there's only one time. Sorry,
like 5 times.
I got masters at
degrees.
I got masters at PhD and that.
PhD.
When I was going to uni, I'm an undergrad. I was struggling. The first year, I had no friends for like the first 6 months. I didn't leave my room. Like, I was just playing FIFA all day, every day, going to my lectures, stuff like that. And it was just because, I'm quite a reserved person, innit? Obviously, because you man grew up with me, you would have never seen that. But in general, I'm quite reserved. And I don't like making friends and stuff like that. And I think that one day I just went and spoke to my dad, and I was like, I don't want to be here, innit? And it was like a thing like that. But I never understood at the time what I was doing. I was just saying that at the time as in where I just don't want to be here, dad, take me out of the situation. But I guess this all depends on your father as well. But he was kind of like, okay, cool, you know what? Thank you for coming to me and actually telling me about this stuff, because you never come to me before, and now I can help you. You kind of see an instance like that. I feel like some instances, as us as young men, we don't necessarily go to our fathers and stuff like that. And previously, I also think as well, they necessarily might have not went to their dad as well. It kind of just falls on to generation to generation to generation. But at one point, I would encourage you to break the cycle, innit? And you never think as well, even though even talking about yourself, but what does your dad go through?
Oh, bro.
You see, that's what I'm trying to say. We feel I don't know about you guys, but I do know about you guys. But the pressure we're facing now, it's a lot. Cost of living crisis, all these other things. We talk about relationships, even marriage and stuff like that. I know you guys are parents together. It's not easy. Who does your dad talk to and stuff like that? Like my dad is exactly the same as your dad. He's always been a family man, always done his duty as a dad, always looked after his children, blah, blah, blah. But when I started getting into psychology and I started understanding life a bit more and just more experiences, I was thinking, bro, who's he chatting to? And when you deep it like that, you're like, bro, yeah, it's a deeper thing, because I was thinking all the stuff I'm facing and how I know I feel. Why do I feel like he's not facing the same things? And how comes I haven't been trying to encourage that? And I think, sorry to everyone, I know we've been rambling, but yeah, I think overall that's when I kind of saw me and his relationship get a bit closer, because it was someone genuinely actively encouraged, like trying to learn about his life. For example, the same way you were talking about the girl and she was just like, oh, she just played it off on a random thing. That's maybe how our parents see it, or like, you know what I'm trying to say. So they just think it's just another thing that I have to do myself. I can't open up. I need to be the strong man.
Yeah.
When in reality, I think all is like brotherhood and manhood and fatherhood and stuff like that. We all want somebody to chat to. Like,
do you know what I think? Two things on that. I think, like you said, who like you don't really know what your dad's going through, or like who he gets to sort of talk to. So I feel like I never wanted to put more on my dad.
oh,
Do you know what I mean? So it was like I could already see he's probably struggling with certain things. So it was like I'm not gonna go to him and say, oh, like I'm failing in school or something, and then he's thinking, oh my god, I got that to deal with as well. So I think seeing him stressing made me be like, all right, I need to let me tackle this on my own. Like, let me just pattern it. And yeah, I feel like, but then when you do go for a conversation with your dad, even if it's like just a little chat, right? I always find you always feel better after it. Like 100%. You always feel like, why didn't I just go to speak to him earlier? So I feel like once you get past that boundary and actually have a conversation, you'll feel way more better.
I'll let Kaylin interject. I just want to interject quickly, Kaylin. I think as well, as men, I feel like we like being relied upon. If you know what I'm kind of saying, well, I know it's I do, but maybe I'm generalizing in it. And I know my dad is very much like that. And I understand what you're trying to say is in where they feel like you don't want to add the pressure to them. I think sometimes that's us ourselves self-critiquing and self-sabotaging. Because I know as a parent, my dad wants to be the first person. He wants to be that kind of guy. He wants to be where it's like, you know what, my son trusted me solely that he knows I can fix the problem. Kind of like a Superman hero thing. Obviously, he's not Superman, but he wants to be that person, innit? So I think, yeah, that's just a kind of an encouraging thing. I think to do good chat to your dad.
Yeah.
Did you think of...
Yeah, no, I'm just going to echo basically everything you just said, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, you know, being that person that everyone wants to rely on. I feel like it shows signs of strength. Like if you grew up and your dad was, you know, relying on other people, you know, you could see he was showing signs of weakness, that could have rubbed off on you and it could have potentially affected you in other ways, because that strength has probably strengthened you in ways that you probably won't be able to, like, really realize in it. So that's the same as my dad in it. Like, he might not have like been like a best friend, you know, best bet, like, you know, I mean, dad of the year or whatever, but he showed me that, you know, being strong is something that's necessary. I think 100%.
It's interesting you said that. You're like, they want to be like relied upon or something like that. I think especially when you go back to like the previous generation, I feel like they have a tendency to judge their worth based on what they can provide and what they can offer, especially for their family. So when you like, you might feel like you might be stressing your parents out, but if anything, if you're kind of going through something and it gets worse, and then it gets worse because you're not chatting to them, that might end up causing more hassle for them than if you were to just go to them in the first place. And also, like, you're gonna have to break the cycle eventually.
But at the same time, I feel like dads should try and make that effort, that conscious effort to try and figure out. So obviously, personally, my dad never really came up to me and said, "Oh, like, what's going on there? Do you want to talk about this, that?" Like, me as a dad, like you said, if I have a son, that's me. That's what I'm gonna be doing, innit? I'm gonna do, even if it ends up that they don't rely on me. Like, I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna make sure I done everything I can do to make that the best chance of that happening. So
I agree with you completely, but I give them some grace, because you know what? I know how it was. Like, your parents came from
Africa. Yeah, my dad's off the boat.
That's what I'm saying. All of our parents came from their country.
Like, you know, like this, like ranting, bro.
Like 10 countries, lorries, everything.
That's what I'm trying to say. All of our parents came from somewhere else, and I think back home, from wherever from, that's just the norm over there.
It's
isn't
so
it?
true.
It's just
a cultural thing.
That's why I don't expect a lot, man, because I know, like,
you just know that.
They've done.
If they were born here and grew up here, it would be different. But like I don't take anything away.
I see it as like, I'm so happy I'm born here. Do you know what I mean? So that's enough for me. Like, for them to, not enough, but it's like for them to make that whole journey and just come here and give me a life here. I'm like, I don't want to give them more stick. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've done. I look now and I'm like, I'm so happy I'm not growing up in Iraq or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, you got everything you need here in London, and they've just provided that basis for a good life, man. So I don't want to. I give them a little leeway with that.
Yeah,
100%.
I was going to ask the question, you know, you mentioned about providing. If I make it more modern, So, you know, we will chat to girls. Everyone's single, all that kind of stuff. Oh, I don't know. I don't know about everyone's single. Anyway,
Man are single.
I'm single, yeah. So I was talking about myself. I'm single. I know Danny's single.
I
They're
am
both
single.
single.
Girl, I'm single. I'm single.
Everyone's single, bro.
Anyways, like, I guess when you're going out there dating and like being in a relationship, because you've been on dates, all the kind of fist up there. Do you feel the same energy and like pressure, not pressure, but the same responsibility to provide? Because I'm thinking, even if I talk about myself, I want to be like, I think maybe most men, but I want to be a provider for my family. I want to provide for my family. I want to provide for my wife, my future wife. Don't have one yet, so no one say anything about me. Yeah, my future wife, my future children. I want to be a provider, and I think when I go into dating, I go with that mindset.
Yeah.
But I think that's also an added pressure that I necessarily put on myself. Because like when I go on dates, I'm trying to show a good time. Like I'm trying to show, like, not provide the time, but like
You're a man,
like a certain lifestyle. Like if she wants something, man's doing that. I'm doing that. I'm doing that. But what I realized as well last year and like a couple years ago, once you keep adding to that trying to live up to that pressure, especially when you're going on dates and dating all these women, bro, it's a
come back
lot.
for you. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
it'll
lot.
come
Like
back.
you feel that.
Yeah.
And I think my boy even sent me a tweet the other day, or today, in fact, yeah. He was like, "What's one of the most extreme sports?" And they were like, "Dating more women."
100%.
Sport, blood. Oi.
100%.
Because you know what the thing is, it's an extreme sport, and look,
is.
we'll be real with each other, yeah, fam. In this crisis, like cost of living crisis, everything's gone up. Petrol, everything, all these other things, yeah. And then if we add in the expectation of women alone, you were talking about the thing about even not being able to open up to them in some aspects, yeah. But then also add in our own beliefs about my belief about providing. How do you guys feel about that kind of pressure and all of that things there in your daily life?
Do you know what? I've had this talk with a few girls, you know. Like, so anytime I'm sort of talking to a girl and they're always wondering like, why am I not in a relationship, or like, why am I not sort of serious with someone? And I say like, I'm not ready like in life to be like, I want to make sure my work is patterned, fitness wise, like I'm reaching my goals, and just, you know, sort of making sure you're at that point where you can then provide, right? Without stressing, or you don't want to be in that position where you're like, I can't even take this girl up. Like,
Exactly,
like,
bro.
I don't want it to hit my wallet, or like, or you can't get her a gift because you're thinking I haven't got enough money. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to be. You just want to be in that position where it's like it's seamless. Whether you go out, whether you get each other, whether you provide, like you're not second. You don't have second thoughts about it, and they just don't seem to grasp that concept, and they always think, nah, it's not that, you're hiding something, or you know, you just want to play around, and it's like, no, I'm being serious, like literally, I'm not at that point in life where, yeah, like I'm not, yeah, you don't get it. I'm not at that point in my job or my work where I feel like I can then sort of do whatever I want, right? Or like I said, you wanna be able to provide without having that stress. Like our parents they're providing with stress, like. If they don't put the food on the table for us, they got the shelter. That's what they're thinking about. Like I don't ever want to be at that point with my missus, our children. Like, and I don't think they grasp that concept, man.
What about you, Kevin?
Bruv, I think these days, yeah, girls just want a provider, innit? Girls want a provider. That's standard, innit? And I'm 100% in agreement with Danny when he's saying that you need to be ready, like, in your health, in your job, in your everything like that, to say that I'm, you know, making this commitment to then be a provider for this girl. But
Yeah, exactly.
in a bit of an earlier stage, like girls, like would expect you to just go and then just ball out on them like the first couple
That's
of
why
days.
they don't think like nothing else.
This is what I'm saying. So you gotta be careful to make sure that these girls are not trying to finesse you as well. Do you know what I'm
But
saying?
don't draw yourself out as well. Don't draw yourself out.
That's a
for
big
girls,
thing,
man. Because
That's a big thing.
that is
Don't
one
die
thing
for
that-
Nyash, blood.
don't die for
Forget what I'm saying.
Don't die for it.
Don't die for Nyash, blood.
I hear it.
That's basically
I
what-
hear
Well,
it.
I like that is one thing I do not do.
And I think
like,
we've all been there. We've all been dying. One
yeah,
time.
there's a couple times where I'm like, yo, why have I put myself in this position?
How did I get here?
I'm like, why am I here? Like, I should be at home chilling. I should be at home watching TV. Like, what am I doing?
Don't kill me.
But now there is that expectation to answer your question. Like, there's like, obviously, like, you can't expect to go into a relationship with a girl and then be like, oh yeah, I mean, we're squaring it 50-50, I mean, everything like that. Now, as a man, it's always been like that from day. Obviously, there's some like feminists that think all equality and all of this and that, but I'm the same as you. I feel like men are here to be providers. I feel like men's worth is based on what they can give in terms of like money and providing and, you know, putting a shelter over families, over your family and everything like that. So yeah, I'm for that.
So 2 points here. I don't know if you know, but do you know that men's biggest support system? Actually, answer the question. Who do you think men's biggest support system is and man's biggest support system is?
Support system.
Or support person. Like the person he talks to the most, or the person like whenever he's going through something, who do you think that is?
Like, it's a trick question.
Yeah, this is a trick.
It's not
I feel like it's like
They're
some
boys?
next
I don't
answer.
know.
No, go on.
They're boys.
I was gonna say his closest guy. Like,
Yeah.
probably.
No, it's actually women. Their
Is
wife.
it, huh? Oh, their wife. Okay.
Yeah, their wife, their partner. So now we take what we just said, about the situation, about being able to provide for men, all the stresses there and being ready. This is going to lead them to the second point. At what point are you ready? Because if we're all being real, there's all been things where we've said that once we get here, we'll be ready. And then something extra has come on. For example, when I finished my master's degree, I was like, like assistant psychologist jobs are so hard. Like, I promise you, bro, it's so hard to get jobs in that field, yeah. I was like to God, just please give me a job in the assistant psychologist field. Just that I can, my true passion, so I can do it every day. I got the job, and now it's me here complaining about I got the job. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm just saying crap. Like, I've been going through it. Like, I've been working too hard. You know, all these things there. But 6 months ago, if you would have told me that I would have got this job, I would have been over the moon.
Yeah.
So that's number two. And that's number one. Number two, we know that now, research shows that women are generally our support system. If we are now, example, waiting for it to be ready, that support system now, it's a lot harder to find and to actually get there, to actually create a genuine connection with a woman. Like, how do you, I guess the question is, are you just gonna wait until you're perceived as ready to find that genuine connection?
It's subjective. It's not objective. It's subjective, and it will be personal thing. Obviously, you'll know when you're in that position when you're ready. You know what your goals are. You know what your ambitions are. You know how close you can be to where you want to be, to where you know that you can then start to provide, start to distribute your. Do you know what I mean, how much you've got for others. So I think it's subjective. I don't think that there's one way to sort of say, yeah, this is the point where man should know that they're ready. But I think people should, you know, analyze the situation and not just like go into situations just for the sake of it, because then you can end up being embarrassed. Like, you can end up with a girl that just starts saying that, you're this, you're that, because you ain't doing the X, Y, Z. You're just getting held back. I think sometimes when you're in a relationship, sometimes, it's not all the time, but sometimes the relationship can hold you back. So that's why I feel like it's better to get further down the line, so that even if your momentum gets like slowed down a bit, you've already to where you've already progressed, and you know, it's gone a few steps. So
I mean, I was gonna ask you two, because my relationship experience is quite limited. You know what I mean? But yeah, and I know you two have had long-term relationships or whatnot, so I feel like you two, I don't know if you two would have some gems, or like you got that experience to sort of speak about. Because me, I had one relationship a long time ago. Yeah. Since then,
for me personally, my ex, like, I was doing what I can. You get me? But like, she.
Confirm it.
Seriously, I'm doing what I can. But she always wanted more. There was always this, that, always asking for things. She was very
materialistic.
That's exactly it. She was very materialistic. She was like, I want to go here, I want this, I want that, demanding thing, boom, boom, power. I'm doing what I can, innit?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like, it was a bit annoying, because I was thinking, look, I'm trying to get here. I'm trying to, do you know what I mean, do what I want to do in my life as well. But this is ties into what I said before. Obviously, I made that decision, so I should have thought, am I ready to do this at this moment in time? But I made the decision to say, no, I like this girl, so I want to. Do you know what I mean, like, my feelings got the better of me. But
so you think do you think that constant pressure of like trying to be materialist, like having a materialistic girl? Because be real, there are some materialistic girls out there.
Yeah,
and that pressure of having to provide for her son and needs, was that a lot for you?
No, look, hold on, listen, man, you get me.
No, I'm just trying to say this.
No.
But let's be real though. It would be a lot for me.
No, it was.
Yeah.
It was, innit? Like, because obviously, personally, I didn't even know that she was as materialistic was. Because obviously, you can start dating a girl, obviously, start showing down the lines and stuff like that. But start getting more and more and more, innit? But I wouldn't say. I don't know. It's just like personally, I wouldn't. If I was looking for a girl now, I would try and maybe not find a too materialistic girl. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I know some people's love language are like gifts, receiving gifts, like giving and stuff like that. But yeah, that's why you just need to gauge things. That's why I said you need to analyze the situation before you just, do you know what I mean, dive head first into the situation. So you know it's going to work long term, innit? So
I think what Danny was saying, if I just talk about my life, I think, as you say, like when you're talking about not being ready, I don't quite like that statement because I feel like, me personally, I'll never be ready.
Yeah.
You know what the thing is? I'll always be aspiring for more and always be like, I'll never be happy, as I just talk about the assistant psychologist or how much money I got in the bank or something like that. And that's why I think it's actually a good thing to date and have the experience. Like, for example, what Kaylin said. Like, when I was with my ex, she wasn't materialistic at all, but I was very much like, oh, say it true, I'm a lover boy. So I just wanted to give her whatever she wanted, or like, if she wanted to get her nails done, I wanted to pay for it. She never used to ask me, but that's just how I wanted to provide to show her that I love her. But what I then, like, out of the relationship, I realized that I was never invested in myself. And I can also see the detriment side of, like, I say this all the time, like, I don't think I would have got a first in my master's degree if I was in a relationship. Because I think I would have been out with her doing other things. I wouldn't have been putting the time in my dissertation, doing all the other things. I just don't think I would have. And that's just because who I am as a person. Like, I'm a very clingy kind of person that I want to be with my girl, want to be stuff like that. And and I think, like, going forward, if I didn't have that experience of being with her, I wouldn't have known what I want now. Or for example, like, we're talking about providing for our girls and stuff like that. Yeah, I want to provide for my girl, but I can't do that right now. So any girl out there think about me, I cannot. You know what I'm trying to say? I cannot do that right now. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. And I think you have to be real with yourself. Like, you might want to be able to date multiple people, but bro, dates are expensive. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, you can't, I can't, like me now, I can't date, if I really want to date you, I can't date 4 or 5 guys. I can't even date 3 guys. Maybe 2 is probably the max I can do in it. Yeah, but if I actually want to date you, because I just can't afford it. And I don't, as Danny was talking about, I don't want that added pressure now of thinking, oh, let me go check my bank account. Let me go check my savings account. Let me go check this. Let me try and go get this money around all day, every day. Because you want to spend time with them, because you're going to be in your feelings. And you want to chat to them. You want to show them a good time. But I think as you overall, just like kind of sum it up, you need to know yourself. And that's what I think I did. When I was in my relationship, I was so focused on our relationship instead of knowing myself. And that's what I would encourage every man to do before they get into a relationship. To know yourself so that when you're inside the relationship, you don't get lost. Because I think it's a very easy thing that we can do, get lost. Because, you know, everyone's not meant to be alone. We're supposed to be with somebody else. We're supposed to be in love. Like, these are all things, like, as much as you want to fight it, bro, don't fight it. You want to be in love. You want someone there to support. You want someone there to be with you. Let's be real. Like, you can be vulnerable and stuff like that. But, yeah, I think that's just my instance.
I agree with you 100%. But on top of what you just said at the end, like, people need to take the time before they get into a relationship and actually just reflect and just ask them, like, bro, I see so many people jumping into relationships purely because they don't know how to be alone. Like, people actually don't. Like, you think about it, like, bro, being single, when you make somebody sit down, they don't have, you know, a girlfriend or whatever. And then when they're single, all those thoughts or feelings that maybe they've been suppressing for all that time start to rise to the surface. It's hard, and they're forced to confront certain things that they've been suppressing. And, like, people don't really understand. I've always said this, like, if you're not happy alone, you're never going to be happy, full stop. Like, if your happiness is dependent on you being with someone else, what happens if they leave? Or what happens if they upset you? Like, you need to make sure that, as with anything in life, you're starting on a solid foundation, know your reasons why. And, like, if you're getting into a relationship just for the sake of it, like, you might as well not be in one. So, and
there's only so many amount of times that you can go through that cycle of feelings, bruv. Like, for me personally, that's not something I want to go through bare times in my life.
Mentally,
do you know what I'm saying? Like,
trying to do that once.
That's what I'm saying. That's the goal for everyone, but like, you have to go through a few times, and obviously it does strengthen you. And also, I was going to say, obviously, you said you ain't been in many relationships, but on top of what Jevon said earlier, I feel like you need to kind of get into a relationship like at this age, just to know, like, you know what I mean, your bearings, know what you like,
kinda
what you don't.
shook,
what you-
I'm not gonna lie.
It's a bit, yeah, I hear it.
I'm telling people this now, yeah. Caitlin and me can relate on certain aspects in it, yeah. If I had to go through what I did at like 30, bro, I'd be broken.
Oh yeah, that's.
I couldn't
that's
do
another
that.
thing,
I
that's
really
another
couldn't do that. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I encourage people, maybe not go in a relationship, but know what you want and try play the field, try play the market.
Exactly.
Because, bro, it's gonna be. You don't want to experience what I went through at 21 because that, bro, I'm telling you, was a treacherous time. Listen, it's a treacherous time.
You don't wanna be
Yeah,
that big man.
you
Yeah,
don't want to
yeah,
be a big man.
I hear that.
Going through heartbreak and going through women stressing you and going through picking the wrong girl. Like, obviously, you can know what your type is and know what you want as intangibles, and yeah, it might not work out, bro. That's life.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, try play the field from early, yeah, and try play it genuinely as well. Don't go there trying to break girls' hearts and mess with girls' hearts and play girls and do all these kinds of things. Actually, try go in there to find a genuine connection. And some people will say, oh, love should just come for you, or people should come for you. Yeah, I agree. It should be natural, but sometimes be intentional as well. If you see a girl you like, bro, like, raw, like, you know, I want to try to get to know you, be honest and open. But I'm trying to say, play the fields early, because you don't want to, I don't think anyways, that you want to experience that at 30, 40, not knowing who you've dated and not knowing what your
now is the time.
That's slow.
Now is the
because
time.
that self-development that you're going to get, like the self-development I had for like the last 3 years, 4 years, bro, it's crazy. I can never go back to the same,
The next question. I'll ask this one quickly. Do you guys ever engage in any self-destructive behaviors? Like, have there been moments where something happened and the first reaction is like, you're going to drink the problem away or do this or do that? And if so, is that a behavior that you still engage in to this day?
I'm quite good with that stuff, man. Like, if I'm going through something, I don't sort of look to that path to sort it. Like I said, I'll do the gym thing or like football or like holidays. I always try to do something positive to eradicate like my thoughts. But yeah, I mean, obviously drinking and stuff like that's an easy way out. Like
It's a truthful way. It might be easy, but it's still a truthful way.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, not really, but there would be probably some times where I might be going through something that's a bit peak, and I'll just like go out and maybe just get hella burst, like
JD and Coke.
JD and Coke, burst, like, but not like Phil Mitchell, bust up on the street corner, like, you know what I'm saying, with a bottle with a black bag and just doing a madness like that. Nah. For me, nah, man. Like, I have to stay composed when I'm feeling in times like that. I try and stay as composed as possible.
I think you lot man a lot better than me, because boy, I be going through it. I know my destructive make is very. I mean, maybe because I study psychology, I can spot them a bit more easier than the average person. Yeah, but one, I isolate myself. You will not like. You might not see me except for me going out. And fair enough, I like to see people like quite often. Just like if it's general day, like going for just going for something to eat, or just going for a chat, like just a chit chat or something like that. I will isolate myself a lot, and I become very irritable. Like I'll snap a lot, like very quickly. Like me, I've got a lot of patience. My mum and dad will tell you, I've got a lot of patience. I don't really get angry and stuff like that. But when I'm going through stressful times and I don't express how I'm feeling or want to address the situation, someone could just ask me how my day is. And I'll be like, why are you asking me how my day is? Why are you trying to be in my business? And I think even looking back now, that's something that I did in my relationship. So when I wasn't talking to her, because I don't really express my feelings when I'm in my relationship. Well, not express my feelings, but express when I'm going through things. She used to ask me, but I used to take it more as like in a angry sense, like, oh, why are you trying to be in my business? Because I wasn't developed in myself, and I didn't know how to express my emotions. I think, yeah, that's something for me. Did you have any more? I see Mo just try to answer the questions and not answer them.
What you saying?
We need to flip the script. We need to flip the script.
Flip it on to Mo. Like,
I'm not involved, bro. I'm just here for fun, fam.
Now, answer the question. Did you have any destructive coping mechanisms?
Do you know what? I was actually gonna say no, but then when you, but then when you said you isolate yourself and you get very irritated very quickly, I didn't even think of that as a destructive coping mechanism until you said it, and that's what I do.
I'm telling
like,
you, but people don't really, and that's why education, I know psychoeducation, because I know obviously man don't really do it too tough because it's not your thing, yeah. But psychoeducation is so important because there are things that we do subconsciously that we have no idea that we are doing.
But I think it just goes back. Like you can trace it back to this need to just wanna like we have this desire to just solve our problems ourselves. Like because we don't reach out to people, so we just kind of withdraw and just try to find a solution. That's just how it's always been with me, at least. But yeah, no, I'd say, withdrawing myself from situations, from like the people around me. And when I was younger, like when I first started going gym was my outlet to the point that I was going and I was damaging my body because I used to get into like powerlifting, lift heavy.
We know, bro.
But I knew,
We remember
relax,
that. Trust me.
Bro, I can't lie.
I understand.
No, but I'll be real, like the reason when I think back on it, it was such a big part of my life back then because it was genuinely like, it was the only outlet I had. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't like. I actually remember I would talk to some people, and I'd get the sense that I was burdening them. Like I was a burden. Like I still remember having a conversation with someone, and it got to a point I got this sense like, oh, like I feel like I was being a burden. That's when I started to withdraw even more. But yeah, sixth form times. That's when I like, bro, it was 100% gym. Like I go to the gym like that. That was it. And it got to a point where I was just like, why am I literally damaging my body, and also damaging my mind as well? So
Yeah, Mo, I don't think you remember. You gave me my first pair of dumbbells, blood. You don't know.
yeah, bro, I still remember.
He was like, hold that, man. Get them.
Bro, do you know?
Damn, lad. I still got them.
Do you know how hard it was to carry it to school, fam?
Yeah, nah, big up yourself for that. Still, can't lie, man. But no, I just want to say as well, when you said the isolation thing, I think that's something I forgot to say. I think I isolate myself bare in situations like that. Like I'll just, you might just see me go like ghost for like a hot couple of days. Like, my replies will get slow, and I just won't be communicating as well. So yeah, I'll just go into my show a bit, but I will just open up like a cocoon when I'm back.
When you're finished, yeah. And I think it's just even like kind of times, but sure. But I think even that is mad because I'm trying to say like even I'll talk to Mo about this and I've talked to you guys about this. Like even starting this podcast for me was such a big thing because I'm very quite isolative, and I was just like, yeah, I've mentioned it before, and I don't want to repeat myself on other previous episodes, but it's always been so important for me to know that the man them know they have someone to talk to. Like, we might not talk every single day, or we might talk on our group chat and stuff like that, innit? But I think having these conversations here is what is important because even though because we upload this stuff like that, where there might be a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old that might just come across the clip one day and go, rah, these men actually had the strength to talk about what they were actually facing and just be real about it. And I think that the impact that can have is so much more than what I really have. Because, bro, I'm not going to lie to you, that's what motivates me. Like, this week, I don't even want to talk about myself. But anyways, this week's been such a hard week for me, like, just mentally and physically and everything like that. But that's what pushes me on to know that, okay, cool, but there might be somebody out there that needs you to do this episode. You know what I'm trying to say? Well, the man, like, even you two, you might have needed to come on this episode today just to talk about stuff in it and just to be real.
I ain't done it for a while.
For real, man. Nah, it was a good.
The last time I spoke to someone properly,
Nah, these are real things that discussions that need to be had. And
no everyday football and
exactly, no everyday football and like them and like who's paying on the first date. Like, saying like everyday. Sometimes real topics, man. So I rate it, man.
I think that would be a next good session. Sorry to me if you had the question, but how would you like say to improve? What like one? Okay, I guess if I'm asking yourself, how would you want to improve your mental health? Like, what are some steps you want to take, or where do you see your mental health going to improve it? And secondly, three-part question. So I think of questions while I'm talking. So okay, how would you improve? Would you want to improve your mental health? 2, how would you encourage others to improve mental health? And 3, what would you tell your younger self, just as in general life advice?
The first 2 I'll wrap into one.
Okay.
I feel like if you have a strict sort of program routine, routine's massive. Like I always try to get myself in a routine, and then after 3-4 days, like that's it fails. Like there'll always be a period where like I'm reading a lot, or I'm going out for walks and stuff like that, and I feel so good, honestly. Like I feel amazing, and then there's something will happen, or like work will be a bit long, and then I just completely forget about that, and then I'm like, like now I have to start again. So if you can get in a habit of like just following a strict routine, that's positive for you, and it just allows you, whether it's like financially or even like just sort of improving yourself physically and mentally, that's the game changer for me. So routine 100%. And what would I tell my younger self? It's a tricky one, you know.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one.
Man.
I'll leave that. You do your thing. I'll come back to that.
We'll circle it. Say no more.
No, I think same as Danny. Basically, keep it. I think if your physical health is like optimized, I feel like it's gonna have a very big impact on your mental health.
Okay.
So I'd say if you can go gym, do that. If you can play football, if you want to go for a jog, do that. So yeah, for me, it's just like as long as I keep my physical health as high as I can, that will be good. And then like if anything comes along that's I think is going to knock me out of my stride, just communication. I feel like I'm a bit of a bad communicator when it comes to like if I'm going through something. I'm just an introvert. Like, I'll just go for what I'm doing and I'll just cut through. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I'll just get over it. But I feel like if I could do one thing, it would maybe be, try and communicate my issues a bit more. That would be the main thing. What can I say to Y.K? I don't know, man. Dan, you answer first.
Do you know what? I'd probably say I feel like health is wealth, man, and try to be as like fit as possible. Continue playing sports. Keep going gym, because if you fall off for like a year or whatever, then it's a long way back, man. And like even myself, like I used to play football 3 times a week. You remember I used to kick ball so much, gym as well, and then you just slowly fall off, and I'm like nowhere near where I want to be. So as long as you keep consistent from a young age, it sets you up nicely for when you're older, man. So that'd be my one.
I'll probably say to my younger self, just to be more confident in myself.
That's great.
And I'll probably say to my younger self now that like whatever, like the things you're seeing on like social media or like people that you're seeing like showing off their perfect life and stuff like that, like it's not really that. So I'll probably say that to myself, like don't take that as like literally, and just be confident.
And not to be teacher vibes or whatever it is, or psychologist vibes, but I think it's so great that you guys are self-aware, as in where you need to improve. Like, we really downplay how important it is just to realize our own issues and know where we need to improve. Because I told you now, people are delusional and they feel like they have no issues and that they don't need to improve.
It's not real life, man.
Yeah, very soon. Even if I was
life.
to answer the question myself, what would I tell my younger self? Is honestly love yourself. I think that's so important. I don't think when I was in a relationship, I don't think I loved myself, and I don't think when I growing up I really loved myself, like loved me for who I actually was, like unconditionally, the good and the bad, because everyone's not perfect. I think that's what I'll just tell my younger self, love him. What would you tell yourself? We'll answer the questions, but 1, 2, and 3.
What would I tell my younger self?
Yeah, and where do you want to improve? But we know one where we want Mo to improve. We want Mo to be on the pod. Actually, showing his face. That's number 1.
Said this before. 1 million subs.
That's how I agree to everything.
It's gonna get
Bro, listen.
it's gonna get
That's
booming.
I'm not selling for anything less, bro.
That's number 1.
So-
but go on.
How would I improve my mental health?
Yeah, and what would you tell your younger self?
To be honest, in terms of improving my mental health, one area of my life that I say I'm fortunate that it's always been a strength is awareness. I've always been very aware, but that's not like your awareness is only as good as your action. Like, I've always been very aware of the things that I'm going through, but when I look back and say like, what have I actually done about it? I've not really done a lot. So I say for the future, whenever I feel myself going through something, actually just take action, like go and talk to somebody, I think that's mainly it. I'll be real. Like, by take action, I mean go and talk to somebody, because that's an area of my life that I still really need to work on. Because like, I know I shouldn't kind of withdraw myself, but I still do it. In terms of the advice for my younger self, I wouldn't say it just myself specifically. I wanted to give like general advice, but what I would say is like 2 things, and it's like you guys kind of mentioned it in the pod earlier. Is like, if you don't want to like, you might be at a stage where you're not comfortable talking about your feelings and you want to put on a front for the outside world, but like, to keep your feelings inside you is one thing, but make sure you're not trapping it, because eventually it's going to come to the surface. Make sure that you're regulating your feelings. We made like a post about this on the page, but being in like, you need to know how to control your emotions and you need to know how to regulate them. Like, when you're feeling angry, being aware of your anger doesn't mean that you are angry. It just means you're aware of it. But when you're able to sit down with your negative emotions, they lose their power over you. Like, if you feel yourself getting annoyed at someone, you engage in the behavior, you're annoyed. But if you take a step back, be like, all right, cool, I'm annoyed right now. That's you observing your emotions and you're regulating them. So that's the first thing, is like, if you're not at that stage where you feel comfortable talking to other people, make sure you're regulating your emotions, not suppressing them. And the second one is, Dan, you mentioned about consistency. If you're putting a routine in place and you're trying to set like a schedule for yourself to stick to, being consistent doesn't mean showing up 100% of the time. Like, being consistent is showing up 50% one day, 70% the other, 100% the other, 20%. The point is that you show up in it. There's going to be bad days. It's not going to be one straight, like, smooth line. There's going to be ups and downs, but just make sure that, you know, you're not being too, putting unnecessary pressure on yourself. But yeah, that's it really.
But yeah, guys,
Good, man. That was needed.
Yeah,
I've been waiting to jump on this podcast. I'm finally on.
honestly, I think that guys, that's the end of the episode. Obviously, love to thank Danny and Kaylin for coming on. Big yourselves up 100
Big up,
times.
man.
I
Big up,
think
Jevon.
people
Big up,
really
man.
take a lot of gems from this episode. I think, you
Yeah,
know,
100%.
just
Nah, it's
being
good,
genuine,
man.
man.
It's good way of
Obviously,
doing it, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, big
like, comment, subscribe, all that good jazz, people, them. But
Make
yeah.
sure.
Subscribe to the channel, blood.
Make sure.
Come on.
Click the notification bell.
Yeah, that's the one. I was thinking that one. Click the
Click the
notification.
notification bell.
No, but honestly, thank you guys, and always stay strong.
Little dots.